Now moving to an introduction of HTML. Short for Hypertext Markup Language, HTML is the authoring language used to create documents on the World Wide Web. HTML defines the structure and layout of a web document by using a variety of tags and attributes. HTML is now in its fifth complete iteration. With HTML5, we can now embed audio and video natively within HTML documents. We can use inline SVG files for markup, and we can build more robust form experiences complete with native error checking. We can also create games, charts, and animation using the Canvas element. Documents can communicate with each other using cross-document messaging. In other words, HTML5 is much more of an application platform, not just a markup language. Text Editor is a program that allows you to open, view, and edit plain text files. Unlike word processors, text editors do not add formatting of the text, instead focusing on editing functions for plain text. Below you see a list of some popular text editors. If you are interested in using the software called Dreamweaver, you also have a WYSIWYG editor. WYSIWYG is what you see is what you get, where you are able to code in design view or actually in the program view. In the previous slide, we went over text editors. What I'd like for you to do is go ahead and install one on your computer or open up one that is already on your device. And let's type in the following code that you see with the blue background. Try not to copy and paste from your notes, but go ahead and type it in by hand so you can actually see what it feels like to type in these different elements and the spacing and all that's involved. What we're doing is the basic web page, and there are some must-have elements to the basic web page. These requirements make up the basic skeleton: doc type, HTML tag, head tag, title tag, and the body tag. And we're going to cover each one of these as we continue forward with this presentation. You may have spotted the meta tag in the markup above. It's right underneath the title tag. We've not covered this yet, but we will cover this. The meta tag is not part of the skeletal requirements of a web page, but it has a useful purpose, especially supporting information about the web page. The markup above is the most basic web page. It contains practically no content of any value, at least anything that the user would see. If you were to open this up in a browser, there would be no content. But it's crucial that you understand what this markup means. The doc type declaration must be the very first thing in your HTML document, even before the HTML tag. The doc type declaration is not an HTML tag, but it is an instruction to the web browser about what version of HTML the page is written in. Always add the doc type declaration to your HTML document so the browser knows what type of document to expect. Because we're using HTML5, the doc type that you see on the page is what goes at the top of every HTML5 page. If for some reason you're using some older version of HTML, you would go to your notes, and there's a link there for you to see the different doc types for older versions. The HTML tag tells the browser that this is an HTML document with an attribute of the language being in English. Despite the attribute, this is an opening tag for the HTML element. The HTML tag represents the root of an HTML document, and the HTML tag is the container for all HTML elements except for the doc type tab. Please note that there is a closing tag for HTML, and this goes at the very bottom of your web page. We're still talking about the HTML element, and so let's go in depth a little bit. An HTML document is built using elements. Remember, elements are the bricks that create the structure that holds a web page together. But what exactly is an element? An HTML element usually consists of a start tag and end tag, with the content inserted in between. A tag consists of an opening angled bracket and some text and a closing angled bracket. Inside a tag, there is a tag name, and there may also be one or more attributes, like what we saw in the HTML language attribute. So it looks something like the graphic that you see below on your slide. And notice that the closing tag has a / to signify the closing of the element. A lot of people tend to confuse the term tag and element, so please remember that tag refers to the actual tags themselves, while an element is the tag plus its contents. We talked in the previous slide about attributes, so let's cover what's an attribute. HTML elements can have a range of attributes depending on which element you're dealing with. Each attribute is made up of a name, a value, and these are always written as name equals value. Some attributes are optional, but together they give the browser important information that the element wouldn't otherwise offer. For example, the image element, which we'll learn about a little later, has a compulsory image source attribute, the value of which gives the file name of the image. Attributes appear only in the opening tag of any given element. If you look at the graphic at the bottom of your slide, you will see some of the different attributes and what they're going for. On the first one, we see that it's defined where an image is. The next one is where a link should point to. And the final one is to help give the element meaning, such as the class attribute, which further identifies the paragraph content. The head element contains information about the page, but no information that will be displayed on the page itself. The following elements can go inside the head element: the title tag, which is required in an HTML document, style tag, base tag, link tag, the meta tag, script tag, and no script tags. The title element defines a title in the browser toolbar, provides a title for the page when it is added to favorites, and your title element is used heavily by search engines to work out what your page contains and what information should be displayed in the search results. You do not have more than one title element in your HTML document, and if you omit the title tag, the document will not validate as HTML. A lot of your text editor programs will have a default where it says untitled document, and that's just to help you to remember to go ahead and change that document. If you leave that, then that's what your document will be called, untitled document, and it'll pull up in search engines as that as well. Remember seeing the meta element inside the head tag? Well, let's go ahead and talk about it now. A meta element can be used in a web page for different reasons. Some are used to provide additional information that's not displayed on screen to the browser or search engine. For instance, the name of the page's author or copyright notice might be included in meta elements. In the example above, the meta tag tells the browser which character set to use, specifically UTF-8, which includes the characters needed for the web page in just about any written language. The importance of UTF-8 is if you neglect to select this, when you're saving your files, you're likely not to notice much of a difference. However, when another user whose language is different from yours tries to view your website, they'll probably end up with a scream of gobbledygook because their computer is set up to display text in their native character set, while yours is set to create English text. UTF-8 can handle just about any language there is, including some obscure ones, and most computers can read it, so UTF-8 is always a safe bet. The body tag defines the document's body. The body element contains all the contents of an HTML document, such as text, hyperlink, images, tables, lists, etc. This is where all of your content will start. It will start in the opening tag, and after the closing tag, then that's typically where we would close out our HTML tag as well. Okay, we now know the basic structure needed for a web page. Let's take a break and come back and let's get to coding. Please refer to your Unit 2 Intro to HTML reading to get the codes that you will need to put into your text editor. Again, I ask that you don't just copy and paste. Go ahead and type this in so you can get the feel of how the syntax is. Have fun.